All right, so here I am to tell you guys about the assignment that we're going to be working on for the next couple of days. And I'm going to time myself to make sure that I keep this really short. All right. Let me set this for like 5 minutes. Boom. Okay, there we go. All right, so for our daily agenda today, what we have is that I will begin to investigate a set of slave narratives from a hyperdoc so that I can gather evidence I may use later on to write my essay. So you guys know, or at least you had some idea probably, based on what we did yesterday, and we were talking about that question of what truths these different slave narratives show us or reveal to us about the institution of slavery in America. That is our question, okay? So I'm going to show you, well, here you are watching this quick instructional video, right? I'm also going to link it into the agenda if you need to see it again. We're going to give you an evidence gathering handout. So yours will be pink, all right? Mine is white because this is the original, but yours will be pink and it looks like this. So you should have gotten one of these already, all right? And I'll show you how to use that in just a second. After you've done that, what you're doing is you're going over to our hyperdoc, which has already been loaded into Google Classroom for you, and it's the Slave Narratives hyperdoc, so it should be the first thing in the stream. And your goal today is to complete 2 of the boxes on the hyperdoc and complete the front page or the first page of your evidence gathering handout before you go. It will be a 2-sided sheet for you, okay? Your homework is if you don't fully finish 2 boxes and the front of the handout, that should be yours to complete tonight, all right? So that you have that done when you walk into class on Thursday so you can then complete the other half. You should have more than enough time. All right, so for our hyperdocs, okay, let me go ahead and show you what they look like. So in Classroom, as you know, you'll go ahead and like if I'm in period 6, I already posted it for them in there. And for all you guys, you should be able to locate this. So there it is, Slave Narratives Hyperdoc. And I made you your own copy, okay? So you get to use that. And let's see. So here is the Slave Narratives Hyperdoc for regular. The instructions are a little bit different for regular than they are for honors, okay? And there's a few key features I want to point out in the regular one first. So here we have Equiano. We looked at his yesterday, right? In regular, we examined 1 quotation from him as a class. In honors, we saw a few of his when we did that chalk talk with a partner, right? Going around and looking at those different quoted lines. Here's Solomon Northrop describing work on the cotton plantation. Okay, so that's the same one that was in our station rotation that we did about a week ago. And then here we have Harriet Jacobs. She is also one of the quotation that was out there, so some of you may have seen some of the quoted lines from her narrative. This is an honors option. So in the regular class, this is the honors option. If you want to watch this, you'd watch maybe about, I'd say 10 minutes of it would be plenty. Okay, if you want to go on because you're really interested, you may, but the requirement's about 10 to 15 minutes tops. Okay, ended there. Then over here we've got Venture Smith. So he's describing the middle passage and his new life at the plantation. We have another one by Solomon Northrop finishing us up. Okay, and he's describing the slave market here, or the auction of slaves and selling. So here's our focus question. What are some important truths slave narratives reveal about the institution of slavery? So important truths. Yes, we know slavery was awful, right? I want you guys to dig deep and look at these different narratives and think about, well, how was it awful? What do these slave narratives really show us about slavery? What truths do they reveal? That's your job, all right? So based on the focus question, you choose what you need to view. So you're going to need 3 of these total. All right, like for example, if I decide that I'm going to do Equiano, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the box, right? Because you're supposed to fill the box for the ones that you're doing. So I'm going to fill it right here, okay? Now, if I'm doing Equiano, I can click on his picture and I can go out to the Google Doc that is attached or to the link to the source that honors will have. It'll be a little bit different, all right? So here I have the source that you need to read. Okay, now from this source, what you're going to do is you're going to use your evidence gathering grid and you're going to get the information and you're going to put it in right here where it says evidence from the narrative. right? So this is where you put your quoted lines, your lines that you're taking directly from the text. They go in here. Now, I would say probably it would be a good idea to have 4 or 5 pieces of evidence that you're putting in here. Lines that you think are super important is what you do here. All right? Then over on this part, you're going to do a little bit of thinking, what the evidence shows or suggests, and then what truths are revealed. That's what goes in here. Okay? So, that's one option in regulars. You could just read it and gather your evidence. Or if you decide, another thing that I decided to make for you guys in regular is I made you some read-alongs. So if you're interested, you click here and you can go to the read-along version of it, which is posted in YouTube for you. And it's another one of those videos, just like for Chapter 11 and Chapter 10 that I made for you guys. This is, I'm going to butcher this name, Olada Equiano. It's his slave narrative, so this is an excerpt from it that we're... So if you choose to watch this, basically it's the same deal where I'm going through and I'm reading it aloud, and then I'm adding some annotations here. Mainly they're paraphrases to help you figure it out as you go. That might be helpful for you. What's nice about this, though, is you can also pause it, and then you can take the part that you want. All right? So that's another way to do it if you so choose. All right, so what's required, though, ultimately are 3 sources. Three sources from the hyperdoc, and then this last part on here is for Frederick Douglass. This is when you get your books back. You will go ahead and you'll put in, again, 4 or 5 different ideas from Frederick Douglass that you think are significant. Okay? So the final step, after you've gathered your evidence, you've filled out your row for whichever slave narrative you've chosen, you filled the box, you've read the source, or you've watched it or whatever, your final step is to go up here and you go ahead and select read, and then press the plus sign to make a comment. And your comment, what you're supposed to do here, it says down in the instructions, how does this source help you to answer the focus question? Be specific and use the title of the source. All right? So I would say, in Equiano's narrative about the Middle Passage, so how does it help me to answer the focus question of what important truths, right? So that depends on what I found in there. So in Equiano's narrative about the Middle Passage, some truths that I discovered or inferred, right, are that, and then you would go ahead and you would say what those truths are, just like we practiced in class yesterday, okay? Make sure that you seal the deal by pressing comment so that it sticks, all right? And then you'll do that for 2 more sources. So if my next one's going to be this one, I'll go ahead, I will fill the box, whatever color I like. Same deal, I'm going to click on the picture, I would go out to that source that's linked in there for you. Keep in mind, only 3 of them have read alouds, so Equiano, Harriet Jacobs, and Venture Smith. You're welcome to use those 3 if that's what you're choosing to do. Or if you're interested in what Northrop has to say, his are excellent too, so you could go there. All right? So I think that is it for regular classes. Best of luck. Make sure that you do a nice job of filling this sheet in and say which ones you're going to do. Like for number 1 over here, I would go ahead and I would type in Equiano, right? Because that was the first one that I was going to look at. Good luck. Oh, and one final thought, something I wanted to tell you real quick before my time is up. I wanted to tell you, if you don't quite finish the 2 sources on the hyperdoc, make sure to walk in tomorrow with 2 sources complete on your grid and on the hyperdoc. I should be able to see 2 comments on there as of tomorrow morning. Good luck.